Welcome back, guys, to LiveExercise.com. I'm Jessica Ohm, your yoga instructor. So today we're going to focus on alignment. All right, so there's different types of yoga, and we do a lot of vinyasa, and I have taught a couple yin classes as well. But there's a type of yoga called Iyengar Yoga, which focuses primarily on the alignment of the body. So very structural-based class, less flowy. We'll still do some vinyasas, which are the chaturangas to upward-facing dog, back to downward-facing dog to reset the spine once in a while, especially between twists. But we're really going to focus on the restorative aspects of finding the proper alignment for your body. So we are going to use some props. If you have any, I'll let you know when to use them. But if you have your yoga block with you, that'd be great. And if you have a blanket as well, that would be a nice prop for you to use for some extra support. And then also a yoga strap, if you have one of those. All right, this is what a yoga strap looks like. If you don't have this, a pillowcase or a towel sometimes can replace one of these. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is open the chest, and a lot of times when we do our practice, we end with a back bend, and we're gonna start with a supported back bend today as well. All right, so using the block or blanket, we're gonna place the block down onto the mat, towards the back of the mat, and we're just gonna go ahead and find a comfortable back bend on it. So you might need to adjust where yours is going to be, all right, but you want it kind of the middle to upper back. So find that nice place for the block, relax the hips, and just start to fold back. Now again, you can adjust the block if you need to, letting your head drop back. You want your shoulders to start to fall down, maybe behind the ears. So a lot of the times we spend time during the day with our shoulders, maybe even forward from the ears, all right, but we want to start to drop them back. So letting the chest fall open, all right, letting the shoulders drop back, adjusting the block if you need to, maybe lowering it, maybe lifting it, and then just letting your arms fall out to the side. So we're finding a nice supported bridge here. And we're just going to start to breathe in through the nose, filling the belly and the ribs, exhaling out through the nose, letting the shoulders drop back. So we'll do a few breaths here, just a nice restorative pose, opening our practice, just settling in. Inhaling through the nose, allowing the belly to inflate, so feeling the belly fill. And then exhale, it'll fall back to the spine. Gradually relaxing the back of the neck even more. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Long, slow inhale, maybe holding the breath at the top, softening the body. Exhaling, emptying. You might even get a little spinal adjustment sometimes in the cervical spine in the middle of the back just by taking deep breaths. 1 more inhale in, fill the belly, fill the ribs, fill the chest, soften the body. And exhale, slowly melt. Allow your body to just relax with gravity. And then to come out gently, we're going to bend the knees. And you can maybe just bend your left knee, and we're going to roll onto the right. So gently rolling off, being gentle with the back, all the way to the right, nice and lazy, pressing into your left palm, gently coming up to a nice seat. All right, so we can get that block out of the way and come to a comfortable cross-legged position at the front of your mat. All right, maybe the middle of the mat. So we're going to stretch the side bodies here. I want you to walk the right hand over to the right, reach your left arm up. I'll face you guys so you can see. Grounding the left hip, reaching the right arm, left arm up rather. We're gonna reach over to the right and stretch this left side. Now I don't want you to start to dump over. Again, we're working with alignment. So I want your shoulder and your elbow to be in one line, and you're just grounding the hip, reaching that left arm up and over. Soften the neck and shoulder. Take 1 more breath, inhale. And exhale, reaching. Keeping that shoulder soft, come back to center and switch. Left palm to the ground, walking the left hand out to the left. Ground your right hip and reach your right arm up. So again, you don't want your arm to start to come forward. You want it straight in line with the hip. Elbow and hand in one line. Even if you're bending at the elbow, draw the shoulder away from your ear and just reach out from that hip. So feeling a nice stretch. 1 more breath. Draw that shoulder back away from the ear, come back up to center and lower the right hand down. We're going to walk forward with the hands. Now, depending on your hip flexibility, maybe this is as far as you go. If you ever want to bring your forearms down to a block and relax your head here, you can. And some of you can maybe walk your hands all the way forward and bring your forehead to the block. And then if you're a little more open, of course, you can bring your forehead all the way down to the ground and you don't need the block. But again, please feel free to use the block here. This is a wonderful prop. If you want to bring the block a little higher and rest your forehead there, you can. Let's all take 3 breaths together, inhaling through the nose. Exhale, allowing your shoulders to settle wherever you are. Inhale, fill your belly, your ribs, your back. Slowly releasing the breath. Practicing breath control. One more. Inhale in, fill the belly, the ribs in the back. And exhale slowly, just melt. And then slowly rolling back up to a seat. Very good. We're going to release that completely and we're going to come to our hands and knees. So we're going to make our way into our first Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So bring your hands shoulder width apart. You don't want them wider and you don't want them shorter. So shoulder width, spread the fingers, pointer or middle finger forward, grounding through the knuckles and the finger pads. So we're not just going to bring all the weight into the bottoms of the wrists. All right, when you start to do that, you're going to start getting sore wrists. And some of you guys feel that when your hands start to lift off of the ground like this, when you're in any downward facing dog, you start to get your wrist compression. So we're going to press through the knuckles, press through the finger pads, roll the shoulders away from your ears, draw the elbows back towards your knees, and tuck your toes under. Keeping the neck long, we're going to start to lift the hips up off the ground, or the knees rather, hips up into the air. Now from here, shift your weight back towards your toes. Start to lift the sits bones up. So rotate your sits bones towards the sky, and then let your head fall. Looking between your ankles, try to rotate your hips a little further up, keeping the knees bent. You can wiggle those hips back and up in the air a little further and straighten your arms. So keeping the shoulders wrapped down the back, pull your navel into the spine now, starting to tuck the ribs. One more breath here, lifting those heels, lifting the sits bones, and then straighten your legs, trying to keep the tailbone lifted and the back flat. So if your back starts to curl here, then see if you can really keep pressing back into the thighs and maybe keep your knees micro bent. But see if you can straighten the legs. Now your heels might not touch the ground and that's okay. Working on drawing the chest back towards the thighs, strong arms, strong legs, and then maybe sink those heels down a little further. Again, they don't have to touch today, but maybe working on getting them to draw down. Keeping that back flat and the ribs tucked. Take one more breath here. Exhale, draw back, straighten the arms and legs, trying to keep this nice flat back position. And then come forward to plank. Now we're going to align plank. So a lot of times what happens is the hips sink when there's a weak core, all right, or the butt lifts up and we start to pile all the weight into the hands and chest. I want to find a neutral place. So a nice flat back, tucking the tail slightly so the abdominals are engaged, pressing the heels back and the top of the head forward. So the neck is still long, the arms are straight, and the quads are maybe engaged. So we're reaching the top of the head forward and the heels straight back, feeling the abdominals tight. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, pulling that navel back to the spine. Holding, press through the finger pads. One more breath, inhale. Exhale, draw back to downward facing dog. Lifting the hips, pressing back into the heels. Rotate the sits bones up again. So we don't want to round back. I want you to see if you can press the sits bones up in the air. Straighten the legs. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. Take one more breath in. Engage the quads, lifting the kneecaps. Press back a little more. See if you can make the outsides of your feet parallel to the outsides of the mat. And then we're going to walk the hands back. So keeping the feet as they are, toes forward. Don't let the heels come in. Keep them straight back. Walk the hands back all the way to the back of your mat. Now clasp your opposite elbows and hang, letting your head be heavy. Shake your head yes and no if you want to. Make sure the neck is relaxed. You can shift a little weight from side to side, allowing your weight to transfer from left foot into right foot. And if you need to soften your knees a little, you can, but let's take 2 more breaths just hanging here. Good. One more breath in. And then let's release the arms down. Now what we want to do is try to get the hips over the ankles. So a lot of times our hips are far back behind the feet, and we're going to see if we can bring them a little more forward. So align the hips over the ankles. All right, you might need a mirror to sometimes see this, all right? Otherwise, see if you can get a little more weight towards your toes, but keep the heels grounded. So evenly distribute weight into your feet. And then bring your fingertips down to the ground. Now, depending on your hamstring flexibility, if your back is really round here and this is hard for you, you can always grab a block or 2 blocks, all right, and use them to lift. So look how much more lift you get now. You can always use a chair as well if you really need to find your nice flat back, navel drawing in and hips pressing back. If it's hard for you to keep straight legs and find this flat back position, then maybe work with a chair 5 minutes a day and really try to press your sits bones back and find this flat back. Eventually you'll start to get lower and lower and lower until your hands can maybe come to the ground or just your fingertips, and try to find that extension. If you don't have extension, you're like this, and this is when we leave the facets of our vertebrae open, and when we go to pick something up, all right, without thinking, boom, that's when you have a lower back injury. So we really want to be able to have a strong core here as we're bent down. If you can't do that, bend your knees a little, all right? Hands to the block maybe. Inhale, find some length. Shoulders draw back away from your ears, creating length in the cervical spine as well. And then exhale, let's fold back in. So drawing the face towards the shins, now we can really draw ourselves in. And then we're going to soften the knees. So softening the knees, pull your navel into the spine, tuck the chin to the chest, and roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. So like a rag doll, navel draws in all the way up to standing. The head comes up last. At the top, we're going to roll the shoulders back, bring the hands to the lower back, pressing the hips forward, maybe just a mini back bend, pressing the hips forward, shoulders squeezing back, elbows squeezing together, look up, and then come back to neutral. So finding our neutral stance, Samastiti, the hips should be in line with the ankles, the shoulders should be in line with the hips, all right, and the ears should actually be in line with the shoulders, and most people the shoulders are slightly forward, so there's a little forward shoulder going on. So roll them back, drawing down through the feet, start to spread the toes. Look at your toes, make sure they're straight forward. A lot of times they turn out, and for some people they slightly turn in. So see if we can find neutral hips, neutral feet. Lifting the arches of the feet by pressing down through your big toes. If your butt's sticking up behind you, tuck the tail slightly. So that's part of neutral hips. Shoulders rolling back. Let's take a couple breaths just in perfect posture. Nice inhale in. Exhale, shoulders draw back, fingers towards the ground. Rotating your palms slightly forward if they're not. 1 more inhale. Exhale all the way out. Strong legs, so engage your legs. Inhale, sweep your arms up, reach up. Face the palms towards each other, fingers to the sky. Then rotate your palms forward. Exhale, reaching out of your hips, you're going to fold forward. So hinge from the hips, arms reach forward, and then exhale, folding in. Face towards the shins. Inhale, lengthen. Again, remember, hips over the ankles. Try to find that flat back if you need to. Find something to prop yourself up on. Shoulders draw back, extend. Exhale, let's bring the palms flat and then walk forward to plank. So we're going to come forward into our plank position, finding it 1 more time. Don't sag the hips and don't lift them. Nice neutral inhale. And exhale, we're going to come to our chaturanga. So lower through with the elbows into the body as the shoulders shift forward. Upward facing dog. Release to the tops of your feet. Lift the knees and draw the shoulders back. So the shoulders are trying to align over the hands. Looking up, lifting the chin and chest. Exhale, tucking the chin with straight arms. Tuck your toes and draw back to your downward facing dog. Resetting the hips up into the air as you press back into the heels. Looking between the ankles, let the neck be nice and loose. So if the shoulders are coming up towards your ears, you need to wrap the shoulders down your back by rotating your elbows slightly towards your knees and pressing back into the heels with straight arms. Let's take 1 more breath here. Exhale, draw back, straightening the legs and lifting the kneecaps. Lower to all fours, coming down to the hands and knees. So we're finding this nice tabletop position. From here, I want you to align yourself on the left side of the mat. So look at the left side of the mat. Look at your left hand, your left knee, and then your right foot. Okay, so we're going to align those 3 points, and if you can, maybe even your left foot, because what happens a lot of times is this left foot comes back behind you like this. Let's see if we can keep it all in one line. Left hand, left knee, left foot, right foot, okay? Now go slow, because you're going to lose your balance if you hold your breath. Very slowly, right hand to the hip, right arm alongside the body, and reach up. Look up, and then arm lifts. Going slow, finding your breath, keeping the eyes steady and the facial muscles soft. Your next option from here is to bring the bicep over the ear. So we're just establishing balance with breath. And then some of you can take it a little further. We come into full Vashisthasana, side plank. So you'll step your left foot to your right foot. Don't lose your breath and don't lose your eyes. So your eyes are locked on one point. Step your left foot to your right foot and stack the ankles. Now see if you can lift your hips a little further from the ground. Reach out from your right hip through the right fingertips. Straighten both legs. Breathe. One more breath. Good. Reach your right arm up on the inhale. Look down and bring your left knee back to the ground, your right palm and your right knee back to the ground. Slow motion. Finding a nice neutral position. One more side. So right hand, right knee, right foot and left foot. Again, be conscious of this foot. Sometimes it comes out to the side. See if you can keep it in the same line. Align yourself on the right side of the mat. Left hand comes to the hip. All right, arm alongside the body. Start to bring your gaze to the left and then possibly up. Once you find it, deep breaths. Establishing balance, lengthen the spine. Left arm reaches up. Breathing here when you're ready. If you would like to, left bicep over the ear. Now we find one line from your left foot through your left fingertips. And then your other option, like the other side, is to step your right foot to your left foot and stack. Lifting the hips a little higher, shoulders draw away from the ears. Nice smooth breaths, the eyes stay steady. One more breath. Straighten those legs. And then lift the left arm back up, look down, right knee down, left palm down, left knee down. So slow motion. Take a breath here. Nice tabletop position. Exhale, we're going to round our backs like a cat. Tuck the chin, stretch the back of the neck. The upper back bows up to the sky. And then tuck your toes, drop your belly down, arch your back, open and lift the chin and chest. Hold the breath in for a moment. Exhale one more time. Round and curl, pressing through the hands. Exhale all the way out. Stretch the back a little more. And then come back to neutral. Tucking the toes, walking the hands forward just a couple inches so we can have a wider downward facing dog here. Pointer or middle fingers forward. Remember setting the arms up, shoulders wrap down the back, elbows point towards the knees. Tuck your toes, lift, and start to press back and up in the air, downward facing dog. Setting up those hips, maybe keeping the knees bent for a couple breaths. And then now let's straighten the legs. This time we come high on the toes. So lifting high on the toes, engage your quads. So I want you to have your kneecaps lifting up the legs and rotate your sits bones up. So you're trying to press the back of the thighs behind you, towards the room behind you. Taking one more breath in, straight arms and legs. Exhale, draw back into the heels. So downward facing dog, pressing back with strong legs for one more breath in. And exhale, draw back a little further. Good. This time we soften the knees and look forward. Walk to the front of your mat. Maybe keeping the legs straight for an extra challenge if you'd like. Feet are going to come together at the front. Inhale, lengthen, come up halfway. Again, remember if you need to, hands to the shins maybe. Draw some weight forward as you lengthen. And exhale, fold, drawing yourself in. From here, we're going to bend the knees. So the knees stay together, your ankles stay together, your toes stay together. Bring your hands to your knees and lift your chest up off your thighs, sitting into imaginary chair. So Utkatasana, shoulders draw back, navel draws in, start to bring the gaze forward, and maybe up. Shoulders draw back, sitting down a little lower. Nice, strong for the hips and legs, arms reach up. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Toes are touching, inner thighs are drawing together. Inhale, let's come all the way to standing. Reach up, lengthen through the hands. Press through the feet. Exhale, release your arms down like wings. Palms come down by your sides as the breath releases. Take a breath here in standing. Inhale. Exhaling all the way out. Slow breaths, everyone. Hands together at heart center, pressing into the palms. We're going to step the right foot back behind you. Let's see, if you're facing me, yeah, let's try right foot. So you can mirror me if you want to. All right, toes face the same direction to start. So facing me, we're going to reach the right foot out to the right. So right foot pointing out to the right. Now left foot, check in. We want it square to the outside of your mat or to the front or back of your mat. So if your toes are turned out slightly, I want you to turn those toes a little more forward, facing me. Right toes out to the right, hips square towards me, shoulders square towards me, and then arms reach out to the side. We're lengthening through the spine and tucking the tail slightly, so if the butt is sticking out, see if you can keep the hips in neutral, belly lifting in and up, look over your right fingertips. So from here, I want you to press down through the big toes to externally rotate the thighs a little more and keep the length through the spine as we reach forward. So we're going to hinge and reach. Reach out in front of you as far as you can. Keep reaching. Now don't bend at the waist. From here, I want you to just bring the right hand down to the shin or wherever it lands and left arm up. Now start to gaze up past your fingertips. Now feel the abdominals still working to extend you out over your right leg. And then maybe keeping the length, you can start to creep that right hand down a little lower, but not to where you're starting to dump down. I want you to continue to lengthen out from the hips as you reach up through the left arm. So the top of the head is reaching forward towards your right foot, not out in front of it. Good. One more breath here. Everybody reaching the left arm up. And then exhale, looking down. So you should look right at your right foot, and you shouldn't be leaning forward. If you're leaning forward and you're not looking at your foot, then you need to come back a little more and tuck the hip under. Taking a breath here, draw yourself up, back to standing all the way up. Very good. We're going to turn the right toes to face the left. So facing forward and the left toes all the way to the left, okay? Same thing, check in with your back foot. If the back foot is turned out a little bit, we need to turn it a little more forward. So the edge of your foot is square to the front or back of your mat. Left toes are straight forward and the arches of the feet are lifting. It's very important to ground through the feet. So big toe and heel grounds and straighten the legs. Hips square, shoulders square, arms out to the side, shoulders roll back. Crown lifts, tail tucks, look over the left shoulder. Keeping everything nice and long, reach over that left leg. Reach, 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 reach. And then hinge left palm down. So we're not bending at the waist. We're hinging the left palm down, right arm up, gaze up. Now notice if you started to lean forward again, see if you can continue to extend straight out over your left foot. We're not trying to fall forward. Roll the shoulders back, lengthen the neck. Your neck should be nice and long. Keep externally rotating the thighs by pressing through the big toes. Nice deep breath, everyone. On your exhale, look down at your left foot. On your inhale, come back up to standing, all the way up nice and slow. Very good. Turn your left toes forward. Turn your right toes back to the right. So we're coming back to the same stance we were just in, but this time we're going to open that left foot a little more. So wider stance, warrior two. Okay, so left foot walks back. Look over your right fingertips or toes. And bend your right knee directly over the ankle. Now, if your right knee, I'll just show you, if your right knee starts to come over the toes like this, all right, then you know you need to walk your left foot further back. So I want you to be able to get into a deep stance. So bend that right knee over the ankle, and that's deep for you, okay? So find your stance. Opening up, bending the knee. Come a little deeper. Shoulders roll back, tail tucks, breathing, strong legs. Good. Taking one more breath here. And then exhale, straighten your leg. The next pose is going to use a block. So if you have it, I want you to place that right block to the outside of your right foot. If you don't need it, then I'll show you, you're not going to need it. All right, so arms back out to the side. We're going to come back to warrior two. So hinging that right knee. And this time taking a breath in. Exhale, we're going to bring the right hand to the outside of your right foot. So all the way outside. Now, if you have the block there, of course, it can be in multiple heights. All right, so find the height that you would like to work with today. Right knee over the ankle, left arm reaches up, gaze comes up. Now you're pressing that right knee into the right arm. You're lifting the inner thigh of the left leg, lifting the arch and extending through this left arm. We're going to bring the bicep over the ear and breathe. One line from the outside of your left foot through the fingertips. Breathing is smooth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, empty through the nose. Shoulder rolls back, gaze is up to the sky. One more breath. And exhale. On your next inhale, reach your left arm up. Look to neutral or down and come back up to warrior two. Strong legs, hold your warrior two. Hold. Building strength just by statically holding the pose. One more, inhale. And then straighten your leg. Very good. We're going to switch sides. So you can go ahead and shift that block if you want to now. Right toes are going to face forward. Left toes face the left. You can place the block to the outside of your left foot. We're going to do our warrior two first, and then we'll come down to Parsvakonasana. Right toes forward. All right, arms out to the side, shoulders roll back, tail slightly tucks. Lifting and lengthening, bend your left knee. Now your first bend can maybe be like a reconnaissance. You're like, oh, well, I can open up a little more. Go ahead. Walk your right foot back. Find the stance that works for you. Shoulders back, nice deep lunge. Breathing, Virabhadrasana 2, strong pose, a warrior pose. Good, we're going to come right into Parsvakonasana. So hinging with the left palm, come down to the outside of your left foot. Right arm reaches straight up. Your gaze follows. So the drishti goes up past your right fingertips. Now from here, you want to press that left knee into that left arm, and your right thigh wants to roll up. So lifting the arch of your right foot by pressing through the big toe, grounding through that left pinky toe and the heel. Reaching up with the right arm. If you're too low with the left hand, feel free to adjust the block, everyone. You can always come a little higher if you need to. We're going to bring the right bicep over the ear and take a few more breaths. So extending from the right foot all the way through the right fingertips. Keep drawing that left knee into the arm. One more breath. Right arm reaches back up. Inhale, exhale, look down or to neutral and come back up to standing. Inhale brings you back up. Keep your knee bent, warrior two. See if you can hold it for a few more breaths. Maybe even sink in a little deeper. Eyes are steady, locked in straight over the left fingertips for one more breath. And then straighten your leg. Very good. We're going to bring the hands to your hips and rotate both toes straight forward now. Squaring the outsides of the feet. All right. If you have two blocks and you would like, you can place them right out in front of you, so underneath the shoulders if you want. I'll just show you about where that would be. All right, now if you're really tight in your hamstrings, open your feet up wide. If you're not, if you're really open, shorten your stance, maybe half a leg width apart, all right? Hands to your hips, inhale. We're going to come to Prasarita Padottanasana, so lift the chest up, lengthen, keep those legs straight and the toes forward and start to hinge at the hips, keeping a nice flat back. So again, if you started to round, this is where you would really want to have something tall, maybe a chair or maybe some high blocks to hold on to. Bring your hands down when you start to round and curl. Okay, so see if you can get with a flat back. Bring those hands flat to the ground. If you need to adjust your stance, widen them if you need, widen your feet if you need to. All right, so your hands can come to blocks if you're really tight, otherwise they're on the ground like mine. And then inhale, see if you can find a little more length by lifting, drawing the shoulders back and extending the sits bones back behind you. Exhale, you're gonna start to fold by walking your hands back. So your hands are going to come just a little back behind you. Now draw your elbows in towards each other as if your elbows were being pulled together. You're going to draw them together and then pull your head down towards the ground. So top of the head, the crown starts to come down between your feet as the sits bones start to roll up towards the sky. Now maybe you don't have it quite yet, but we're working on getting that direction. So the head is starting to come down as the sits bones start to lift up. Nice open hamstrings here. Few more breaths in this variation. Continue to roll the sits bones up and reach the top of the head down. And let's take one more breath here. Exhale, finish the fold. Draw yourself in a little deeper. Use your arm strength. And then gently walk the hands out in front of you just a few inches. We're going to come up slowly. So finding a nice neutral spine, hands to your hips. On an inhale with a flat back. If you need to bend your knees a little, you can. Lift your chin and come up to standing. Slowly inhale all the way up at the very top. A little back bend, pressing the hips forward if you're okay with it. Draw the shoulders back, bring the face up, and come back to neutral. All right, guys? We're going to turn the right toes to face forward, and then step your left foot a little over to the left. So we're setting the hips and shoulders square out in front of us. I'm going to grab the block. You can too. All right? I'm going to set it up ahead of time to the outside of my right foot. Now, depending on how tight you are, again, this is, oh my gosh, I'm really tight in my hips and hamstrings. This is, I'm kind of tight. This is like, I could use it, maybe not. And then no block, of course, is like, I got this. All right. Okay, so I'm going to just pick, I'm going to use it just because sometimes it's nice to have. All right. So right foot forward, left toes this time turn out to just maybe a 45-degree angle, maybe even a little more, okay, so, or a little less rather. Okay, so hips square forward, shoulders square forward, hands behind the back is your first option. Okay, this is, my shoulders are pretty tight, so I'm going to just hang out here. All right, even more so if you need the strap, guys, there's a reason why you'd have the strap is to hold the strap so you can actually grab something behind your back, all right? If you want something a little more, you can bring your hands up into reverse prayer. Maybe your palms can touch behind you. There's a nice option for you. All right, and then inhale, we're all going to press through the big toe and start to lift your chin, extend the chest forward, and start to hinge, micro bending the right knee so you don't hyperextend that leg. I want you to start to come down over that right thigh. And your hamstring is tight, so take your time. Inhale, find a little more length, maybe lengthen the chest forward, keeping the back heel grounded. Exhale, we'll fold right into that leg. Chin to the shin, or face to the shin, and draw the right hip back. So if your left hip starts to lift up like this, I want you to see if you can drop it and draw your right hip back. So stay square over the legs. Take some deep breaths, pressing through the right big toe mound. You'll feel it. Good. One more inhale through your nose, everybody. Finish your exhale. Keep that right big toe pressing down. Inhale, we're going to lift back up. You can bend your right knee if you need to. Lift your chin and chest all the way back up to standing. All right? Release your hands. Bring your right hand to your hip, or sacrum rather, the small of your back here, right at the sacrum, the flat area. Left arm is going to reach up. Now we're going to spread the fingers and ground through both feet. Now watch the hips. What's going to happen is the left hip maybe you want to open a little. See if you can bring the right hip back. And we're going to hinge at the waist here, extending through that left arm, micro bending that right knee again. This time, this is where we bring that left palm or fingertips, if you're really tight, to the block on the outside of your right foot if you can manage that. If you can bring the palm down, great. And if you need to adjust the height, of course, do that as well. Remember, what we're going for is a long spine. So we never want to twist with a round spine, all right? We want to keep those vertebrae long. So lengthen the back. Shoulders roll away from your ears. Slowly start to gaze to the right, bringing the twist into the cervical spine. Notice if you're dominant in your right foot, see if you can ground through the left foot also. Maybe start to rotate a little further up over that right shoulder, gazing up. And then we can reach the right arm to the sky. Palm faces the right, so we're gazing past the fingertips, the shoulders rolling back and open, away from the ear. Breathing, maybe finding a little more depth. Pulling that right hip towards the back of the room. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale slowly. Let the right hand come down to the ground, maybe to the block. Left hand to the inside of the foot. Soften and just melt into that right leg for a moment. To neutralize the hips, we can come to a resolved triangle if you want to. Right fingertips to the inside of the foot. Left arm reaches up. Just soft hips, just a little counter for the hips. And then we release the left palm back down. Again, melt into that right leg. Good. And then we're going to take a little vinyasa here to clear this side. So get the block out of the way. Bring your palms flat lunge your left foot back, and then bring your right foot back to plank. So finding a plank position on an inhale. Exhale, chaturanga, lowering through elbows, hug the body so it's not a push-up. Arms aren't coming out to the side, they're drawing back behind you, so the elbows bend behind you. Inhale to upward facing dog, straightening the arms and lifting the chin and chest. Squeeze your shoulders back, lift the head out of the shoulders. Exhale with straight arms, rolling through the feet. Press back to downward face. Good, nice breath in, rotating those sits bones up. Exhale, draw back with straight arms and legs. Inhale, we can come high on the toes this time. Bend your knees, look between your hands, and walk, step, or jump the feet forward. So you can jump if you want, or just step, maybe a little hop. Feet together at the top, lengthen on your inhale. Remember to find the length in the spine. Exhale, fold, and draw yourself in. Let's bend the knees and come to Utkatasana. So find that chair pose again, sinking into the heels, toes spread. If you need to bring your hands to your knees first, you can to lift. Draw the shoulders back. Align your hips back a little more. So the knees want to come more over the feet and not over the toes. So more over the ankles rather, okay? And then reach your arms up, sinking into those heels. Inhale all the way up to standing. Lengthen, look up. And exhale, release your arms down by your sides. Good. Let's bring the hands together at heart center. We're going to switch sides. So we can stay facing this direction. I'm going to step the right foot back. So we're just going to come into that staggered stance, right foot out to a 45-degree angle, left toes straight forward, working on getting the hips to square, all right? So if you need to adjust the toes, it's very important. If you need to adjust the toes to face a little more forward to get the hips to square, that's okay. Do that, okay? Another thing is get this block to the outside of your left foot for now, all right? And another thing is that your outside of your foot should be square with the block. So if your foot is turned out a little bit and you put the block flat and look, the block isn't square to the outside of the mat, then that's a good indication you need to change your toes as well. So the toes should be straight forward. All right, left hand to the sacrum. Right arm reaches up. Oh, you know what? We skipped a pose. Sorry, guys. Before we come into the revolved triangle, we have to bring the hands behind the back and interlace the fingers, all right? We got to prepare this hamstring a little bit first. So again, if you need that strap, go ahead and grab something behind your back. There's your first option. Interlace your fingers or reverse prayer. See if you can match both sides, all right? So finding your option, grounding through the big toe, roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. Inhale, micro bending the left knee as you come down, press through the big toe, slowly extend the chest forward by keeping that back heel grounded as well and lifting up. And then take a breath in that halfway point and then see if you can fold a little deeper. Going slow, chin to shin or face to shin, breathing into that hamstring. It's an intense stretch. So breathe slowly, keep the balance in your feet, keep the left big toe mound grounded. It's a dynamic hamstring stretch, so you're obviously going to feel it, but see if you can keep your balance, keep your breath flowing, keep your cool. Good, one more breath in. Exhale, deepen. Good, and then micro bending the knee if you need to bend it a little more. Lift your chin and chest forward and come up to standing all the way up. Gently release. Left hand now to the sacrum, coming to the revolved triangle, Parivrtta Trikonasana. Right arm reaches up, extend the fingers to the sky, draw the left hip back. So notice the hips are already trying to square, and mine are because I automatically know what I'm supposed to do. So ground through both feet to find balance. Reach your right arm out in front of you, micro bending the left knee, little bend. Reach, 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 and then hinge, right palm down. And just like in Utthita Trikonasana, we don't want to round the back. We're always trying to extend and lift into things, okay? So find as much lift and extension as you can. Feel it here. This is all you need to do is focus right here. If you're feeling it, then see if you can keep extending that hip back. Not at the expense of actually rounding and curling and creating any tension in the neck. So we always want to keep that long. From here, you're going to start to rotate to the left. So whether your fingertips or your palm are down on the ground or on a block, Gazing over the left shoulder, maybe just to the left for now, allowing that shoulder to open up a little more. When you're ready, reach your left arm up, grounding through both heels, gazing up towards the ceiling or whatever you're looking at. Keep the eyes steady and breathe. Continue to try to roll that left shoulder back and open. And let's do one more breath. Inhale, ground through both heels, draw your left hip back. Exhale, look down, let your left palm come down. You can bring it to the block if you want. Right hand to the inside of the foot and just melt over your left leg. You can bend this left knee if you want. Relax into the leg, and then we're going to come to that little resolved triangle. So left fingertips to the inside of the foot, straightening the leg. Roll the right hip open gently, reach the right arm up. Just a soft counter. Coming back to center, release the right hand down, frame the foot one more time, and fold into the leg. Good. From here, lifting the chest, get the block out of the way. We're going to vinyasa again, both hands down, find plank. Taking an inhale in plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. Press the toes into the ground. Exhale, draw back to downward face, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Good. Feeling the openness in the hamstrings. One more breath in. Draw back. Good. Coming to the knees, we're going to find a child's pose. I'm just going to go ahead and switch around to the other side because I'm used to facing this direction, but you can stay where you are if you'd like. We're going to bring the knees wide, maybe to the width of the mat. All right, toes together, hips back on your heels, and you're going to start to extend the arms forward. Now we're going to find a nice long spine. Arms forward, extending out in front of you, forehead to the ground. Now if you ever feel like you're rounding the back in this pose, like your head is like this and you're trying to get your head down, you can always rest your head on a block, on a blanket or a bolster, anything that assists your neck in lengthening. So you would just place your forehead on the block however you like, arms out in front, and rest here. So now you can see the length of the neck. Taking a few breaths here. Inhale through your nose, feel the belly between the thighs. And exhale, empty. Good. We're going to slowly come back up to all fours. So rising up to your hands and knees. And we're going to sit back. All right, so sitting back onto our butt. We're going to come into Baddha Konasana. So feet are going to come together and the knees come out to the side. So I'll switch to face you. Feet together, knees out to the side. So a nice hip opener here. Now if you have really tight hips and your lower back is rounding, all right, and it hurts, you can always put blocks under your knees as well. So that's a nice little assist. So blocks under both knees or pillows, all right. Otherwise, we're going to sit up nice and tall, open the chest, lift the spine, try to find some length first, and then exhale, start to come forward. So lifting the chest out in front of you, maybe a couple of breaths with a flat back. All right, when we're working with alignment, we try as much as we can to focus on always lengthening the spine. A lot of times we get caught up in trying to see how far down we can come or how close our face comes to our knees or our legs. Working on extension. After a few breaths then, if you want, you can start to round and curl. You can use your elbows to assist the knees coming down a little lower, bringing the forehead down towards the ground or not. One more breath. Slowly coming back up as you inhale, drawing the knees together. Good. And then we're going to set up for Navasana, so boat pose. I'm going to turn to face sideways again. You should already be this way maybe. All right, now boat pose is basically like yogic abs. So it's working with creating strong abdominal wall. It helps the digestive system because every time that we focus on our abdominals, and especially the transverse abdominals, we help tonify the organs and all the muscles that work around the organs. So if we have strong core, then we also usually have a better, healthy digestive system, okay? So Navasana is a V position, boat pose, okay? And if you can't get a nice flat back and to create the V, and if you're more like a U, all right, then we can bend the knees. So I'll give you the options here. If you want some assist with the back, you can always put something back here like a bolster or pillow, all right, or a block if you need to, just to lean back on a little bit to keep a nice flat back position. All right, this helps sometimes the sacrum to stay tilted forward rather than rounding and curling. So finding that nice base, and then draw your knees into your chest, all right? And then start to straighten the legs. And if they don't straighten, this is where you just keep them to 90 degrees right here. This is a nice place. If the legs can come straight, great. And if you can maintain that with your chest lifted, even better. But it's not necessary. If you're just working on here today, then master this first, okay? So it depends on where you're at. If you can get those legs up, go ahead. And we're gonna release the arms. Now the arms can be parallel to the ground maybe, and we're just breathing. Legs stay together. If you need to, bend them 90 degrees, keeping those legs at least parallel to the ground. Lift your chest, navel draws in, breathing. Strong abdominal wall, one more inhale, and then we can bend the knees one more time, bring the feet together, knees out to the side, and we'll find Baddha Konasana again. So lifting and lengthening first, scoop the flesh from your sits bones, and then exhale, fold, and draw yourself in. This is one of my favorite poses. If I only have like a minute or 2 minutes to do one stretch, this is so good. One more breath. Very good. Slowly coming back up, drawing your knees together. Now, from here, I want you to, if you have a wall near you, we're going to come to a wall to do our forward fold today. If you're really open, you can actually use a block. So I'm going to show you 2 things that you can do. All right, so if you have a wall, I'm going to come up, let me see, so my toes don't come past this little wall here. Essentially, you want a flat wall. So I'll just say, this is what I want to use, okay? Imagine that there was actually a wall here. All right, so feet flat up against the wall. Now, if you can, maybe put something behind you to lift your spine a little more, so it helps you to not round. Okay, what happens when you forward fold a lot of times is the feet will point or come out to the side, or maybe do a combination of both. I want you to see if you can keep your feet flat today. All right, so again, working with alignment. Also, strap comes in handy here, guys. Grab that strap if you need it. Working with the lift. Remember, we're not trying to round today. We're lifting and lengthening. So what I want you to do is lift the arms up and then exhale, start to lean forward. Now notice how your back starts to round at a certain point. Before it rounds, we're going to lift the arms up and then start to bring the strap around the feet. Lift your chest again, drawing the shoulders back, keeping those feet flat, toes flexed, start to lean forward. Elbows come out to the side. So you're drawing yourself in with the flat back. All right, so it's a nice assist. All right, the other thing you can do is if you're really open in the hamstrings, you can use the block to use that instead of the wall. So as you lift up and lengthen, reaching forward with the flat back, we grab the block, find more length, and draw yourself in that way, okay? So those are the options, all right? If you don't want to find the wall, but you have a strap and you want to work with that, please feel free. We're going to do 5 breaths together, okay? So when you're ready, everyone, find your inhale, lift and lengthen, and then exhale, fold and draw yourself in. Let's do 5 breaths. I'm going to use the block. Two more. See if you can lift the chest and ribs forward. And one more breath, flex those toes. Gently release, coming back up. We're gonna counter with Purdvottanasana. Okay, so just like we intensely forward stretched, we're gonna do a nice strong back bend as well. Hands are gonna come behind you about 6 inches. All right, and we're gonna start to point the toes, making the feet flat. Now we're gonna try to lift up and eventually get the feet flat. We want the shoulders to stay aligned over the palms. So we don't wanna be way far forward or back so the hands are underneath us. They're right underneath the shoulders. When you're ready, exhale all the way out. And then on your inhale, press through the hands and lift your hips up to the sky. All right, so inhale, lift up, chest lifts, hips lift, head drops back maybe all the way back. Lift your chest a little more, get your feet flat. One more, inhale, lift, and exhale, lower slowly. Tuck the chin to the chest, and we're gonna scoot towards the front of the mat. Making your way forward, feet hip width apart, knees bent. Arms are gonna come out in front. If you want to, you can bring the block between your knees, gently squeezing the block together. We're gonna roll onto our backs one vertebrae at a time. Go slow. Rounding and curling. Using your abdominals. All the way down to your back. Once you're there, draw your knees in so you can release the block if you have it. Roll a little bit from side to side. And massaging the spine, kidneys. And let's bring the feet back to the ground. From here, we're gonna bring that block between the knees again. So this is about hip width apart, and this is what we want. So medium width, so this way, all right? Block between the knees. Hands down by your sides. Now we're gonna roll the shoulders back and together. So if the shoulders are forward like mine, draw them back and together. So forward and back. Want them back behind you. Hands flat next to your hips. All right, you wanna walk those heels back just a little bit so you can almost touch them. And then inhale, we're gonna press into the feet and lift your hips up to the sky. So lift your hips up, walk the shoulder blades underneath you a little more, and then if you can, clasp your hands underneath you. Interlacing the fingers, straighten those arms, wiggle the shoulder blades under even more, extend your head out of the shoulders, sternum lifts towards the chin for a nice half bridge, and we're gonna stay here and breathe. If the toes are turning out to the side, see if you can bring them straight forward. So we want the outsides of the feet to square to the outsides of the mat, lifting the hips up to the sky. Smooth, deep breaths. Distributing your weight evenly in your feet. One more inhale, fill your belly with breath. Exhale, slowly unclasp the hands and lower the hips back down towards the ground, letting that go. Let's release the block and draw the knees into your chest. One more time, squeezing them in, rolling a little bit from side to side. We're gonna come into a twist from here. All right, let the left leg come down, holding the right knee into your chest, squeezing it towards your shoulder, maybe flexing the feet, drawing it in a little further. Taking a breath in, exhale, release. And then from here, grabbing the shin with the left hand, right arm comes out to the right. Now, if your block is near you, make sure it's over to the left side of your body. We're gonna bring the right knee across the body and the right arm stays out to the right. Now, if you want, you can bring that right knee down to the block. So you can rest your knee on the block so it's not all the way to the ground. So it's in a nice, safe position so your lower back is still in a nice, neutral place. All right, knee to the block if you'd like, and look over your right shoulder. Breathe. If you want a little bit more, feel free to straighten your right leg. So that's the one with the knee across the body. If you straighten the leg, go ahead and flex through the foot and feel a nice stretch through the hip and hamstring. So staying here, gazing over the right shoulder, past the right fingertips, whether the leg is straight or not. Couple more breaths. Trying to get that right shoulder down. Finish your exhale, twist. and then bring your chin back to neutral. If the leg is straight, go ahead and bend the knee again, and then draw the knee up to center. Squeeze both knees back into the body, finding a nice neutral place, and extend your right leg down, squeezing the left knee in, flexing the feet. The neck is long, shoulders are drawing back, so the whole spine is lengthening on the ground. If you have that block, go ahead and bring it over to the right side of your body, in line with where your knee is going to land, and bring the left arm out to the left knee over to the right, and then there you go. There's that block for you if you need it, or if you'd like to use it, knee can come down to the block, and then your left arm comes over to the left, gazing over the shoulder and breathing. Next option, if you did it on the other side, is to go ahead and straighten your left leg, flexing the foot, pressing out through the heel, and rolling that hip a little bit away from you. Feel a nice stretch alongside that left hip and hamstring. Couple more breaths. One more. Go ahead and bend that left knee again. Bring your chin to neutral. Roll onto your back and squeeze your both knees into the body. Good. When you're ready, we're going to release both feet back down and come into our full wheel, or Dhanurasana. So we're going to come into a big back bend. Now, if you're not practicing or do not practice full back bend, then you can practice half bridge, which is the pose we already did with the block. All right, you can put the block between your knees and clasp your hands, lift up, wiggle the shoulders underneath, or you could practice a supported bridge if you want. The block can come across the sacrum, okay, and you can rest here. Holy moly, this is an awesome pose. So nice. Hang out here for a few breaths and then come down. But if you're practicing full wheel, all right, we'll do that together. I'm going to practice it today. Feet flat, toes face straight forward, not out to the side. So we're keeping the feet parallel to the mat. Hands come next to your ears. All right, fingertips face you, so the palms are flat. If you have issues with this because your wrists are maybe tight, okay, you can always roll up a mat. Come to the edge of a wall and grab the mat with your hands like this, okay? So if you're against the wall, grabbing the mat like this as if you were holding something. I'm trying to pretend like I'm holding a mat, yeah? And you can use that to press up so that your wrists aren't completely flat like this. It helps a little more with compression if you have any issues with that in this pose, okay? If you do not, then you're here with me, hands next to the ears. All right, we can press into the feet and roll to the top of the head first if you want, or come straight up. It's up to you. All right, so top of the head if you want, and then up or straight up. Pressing up with straight arms, maybe come to the toes and find a little more lift. So straightening the arms, lifting the chest through, and then maybe drop those heels down, but keeping the toes straight forward. So again, trying not to let your feet turn out. Couple deep heart opening breaths, big chest opener, big back opener in general. If you want to practice any variations of this, you can lift one leg at a time maybe. Make sure the fingers are still spreading. One more breath in. And then gently we're going to release, tucking the chin to the chest. If you need to widen the feet first, you can. Lowering down with control. Coming down, and then draw your knees in. Gently bring your nose towards your knees, engaging the abdominals to counter the spine. If you did a deep back bend, we definitely need to counter. And then release back to the ground. Releasing that, let's come to Supta Dandasana for a little more abdominals. Legs reach up, just to counter that big back bend if you did it. Feet flexing, palms down by your side, shoulders roll back. So reclining staff pose. Some of you, this is a lot. All right, you're really feeling the abdominals. You might even be shaking, trying to straighten your legs. Keep those legs straight up and your feet flexed. For those of you who hamstrings are open, all right, this might not be so hard. So it's all good. Wherever you are, we're getting what we need from it. Breathing and holding. Flexing the feet, engaging the legs if you can. Smooth, deep breaths. Nice tight core. One more inhale. And then go ahead, bend your knees, bring the feet flat to the ground and the knees out to the side for Supta Baddha Konasana. And again, if your knees are really high and it's hard for your inner thighs and you want a little more support, go ahead and put 2 blocks underneath your knees. So 1 block underneath each knee, and you can rest like that, all right? Or forget the block completely, no big deal. Let your hands rest wherever they'd like, all right? Get a nice, comfortable, long spine, shoulders roll back. Wherever the arms are, let them rest. And we'll take a few breaths here. Deep inhales, slow inhales through the nose and out through the nose. Of course, we want the breath to be deep. When I mean deep, it comes from the lower lobes of the lungs. So instead of it being shallow and chesty, we allow the breath to travel down into the diaphragm, into the lower lobes of the lungs, into the belly and the base of the pelvis. And we want to slow it down too. So for every unconscious breath we take during the day, or 3 unconscious breaths rather, so usually 2 or 3 short, shallow breaths in our asana practice, we try to slow down and do 1 breath for every 3 normal breaths usually. So let's take 2 more breaths here. And 1 more long inhale. Maybe even longer exhale. And then gently drawing those knees together. We can let the feet walk out wide, maybe the width of the mat, maybe wider. Let the knees fall towards each other, just countering the outsides of the hips. You can tick-tock your knees a little if you want. Deep breaths. And then slowly walking those feet back together, knees lift up, and then straighten the legs down for your Shavasana. So allow your legs to straighten. If you have a blanket near you and you would like to place it somewhere, maybe under your back, maybe under your hips, maybe under your knees for some extra support today, all right? And roll up anything, maybe a little towel or something under your neck to get a little cervical lift there. And spend some time there today. So Shavasana is just as important, if not more important, than any of the other poses that I taught today. All right, it's very important that you integrate your practice, not just your physical practice, but this translates into many other aspects of your being, okay, whether you recognize it yet or not. So thank you for joining me. Take at least maybe 5 or 10 minutes even of Shavasana and enjoy yourself. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Namaste.